Hello, thank you for joining me. So in this video, our sixth video in our series on how to model and assemble a simple electronic meter. And the meter is going to consist of two parts, a meter cap, which we drew in the previous videos, and a meter base, which we're going to begin to model in this video. We're going to put that together into an assembly ultimately. So what I've done is I've taken my millimeter template file like we did last time, and I saved that as our meter base. So you see the meter base is up here on the top of our pull-down menu just to the right of that. It's also over here on the top of our feature manager design tree because we've already renamed it. I've assigned a material to it, AISI steel, 1020 steel, and we're going to start to sketch now. We're going to maintain the same orientation that we had before. We're going to start with our front plane. We're going to click on that plane, go to center rectangle, click on the center of that where the origin is, and we're going to drag that out. So it's going to be 590 millimeters high, 300 wide, and you probably want to arrange your dimensions a little bit too so that they appear nice when we put them into a drawing. And then we're going to go ahead and do an extrude on that. We're going to do a mid-plane extrude, and we're going to extrude it out 80 millimeters. I've already done this before. I practiced this once. So 80 millimeters, but instead of blind, we're going to do mid-plane. So that gives us a face and back. It gives us a plane in the center of this thing, which is going to be the front. And of course the top and the right planes too are also in the center of this. No drafts, and we'll just do a simple check mark. And while we have this open, let's go ahead and open up our display plane, go to our appearances, and change the color of that. And choose a color of your choosing, but to be consistent with the previous model I showed you in the previous videos of the completed model, let's go ahead and make that light blue and then green check mark. So there's the start of our meter base. From here, we're going to go ahead and put the circle in that's going to define the first cut that we're going to be putting in there. And that cut's going to be the place where the meter cap's going to be nested into. So let's call this base. We'll rename that. Choose this face. Go to sketch. We're going to draw a couple different circles in here. We're going to try to pick up probably the vertical. We can't pick up the vertical relationship with that, but we can make that point vertical to the projected origin down here. In order to be able to select that origin, let's go ahead and make it normal too. So we're going to click in the center of the circle, click on the origin. We're going to make that vertical to each other. So now if you move the circle around, it doesn't have the freedom to move left or right, but it can move up and down, and it can get bigger too. So let's go ahead and define this a little bit better. Let's put a dimension on this, make that 230 millimeters. That defines the very edge of our of the extent of our meter cap. And then we're going to put another circle in concentric with that. So we'll start from that point. It'll automatically define a concentric relationship or a coincident relationship with that. And we're going to make that 270 millimeters. So we'll pick up that leader command. Oh, still going to do it. Not quite what we want, so let's try that again. There we go. That's what we're looking for, 270 millimeters. Now if you remember our tab sticks out from the edge of this 230 millimeter extent of the base of our meter cap. We made that 18 inches, so if you double that at 36 inches and made this 270 inches, which is 40 millimeters greater. I said inches, I mean millimeters. This is going to be 40 millimeters greater than that. That gives us a little bit of breathing room. That gives us about 4 millimeters to be able to play with on both sides, or 2 millimeters on either side. That gives us a little bit of clearance. So that's the reason why we're going to choose 270 here. So this is going to define the extent of the cut that's going to be inside. This is going to define the extent of the cut that's going to be on the outside of this. And what we need to do at this point is be able to lock this up a little bit better. So both of those circles move. Let's go ahead and put a dimension between this arc, that line, or that arc, that circle, and the edge over here. Now we're going to put an arbitrary dimension in there right now. Remember what we were going to do? We're going to go to liters, and we're going to make that a minimum condition. And let's go ahead and make that maybe about 45 millimeters. So now our circles are all locked up and they're ready to go. We're going to do something very similar here. And we're going to draw in all of our sketch geometry that we need, not only to make the initial cut on the outside of our meter base here, but on the inside too, to accommodate where a slot's going to be. And then we're going to cut out where that slot's going to be too, in a very similar manner that we did the tab. So let's put in a couple center lines. Let's draw a center line from the center of that arc straight up. And let's put a center line down the middle here too. So we're going to make that horizontal. We've already done that. We're going to select the midpoint, select the middle of that circle, make that coincident. And let's just bring the ends of this, at least one end, into the edge of our object over here. And we should be all set, ready to go. So let's do this. Let's put in our slot. And we're going to do this in a very similar manner that we did with the meter cap. We're going to take that line and that point. We're going to make those coincident with each other. And let's go ahead and move that a little bit closer to where we want it to be. And let's take this and this line, select them both the center line and that line we just drew, and we're going to go to mirror entities and put that on the other side. Now, if you remember our slot, or our tab, that's going to be 65 millimeters. We want to make this slot just a little bit bigger than that. So we're going to make it 5 millimeters, a little bit wider, 2.5 millimeters on either side. Should provide us with plenty of clearance here. So let's go ahead and make this perhaps 75 millimeters. So that locks it into place. And you can see what we're going to do. We're going to make our initial cut here using this inside circle, the cut on the inside using the outside circle, and then the slot is going to connect the cut on the inside with the cut on the outside by selecting the contour that's on the inside here. One more thing we want to do. Remember that hole we put in on the meter cap, the hole wizard hole? We're going to put a hole wizard hole here too in the very same location. So let's do this. We're going to draw another center line. If you remember the angle that we used before, it's 36 degrees. Oops, we don't want a distance. What we want to do is we want to select with our smart dimension this center line and that center line and type in an angle of 36 degrees. Now if you remember, we had a point location here. We're going to do that very same thing. We're going to put a point in here, and we're going to put a dimension on that between that point and this circle over here, or that arc. Again, it wants to go down to the very end there. We're going to go ahead and leave that dimension in there. Go to leaders. We're going to make that a minimum dimension, and we're going to type in 9 for the value. Okay, looks like we have all of our sketch geometry we need in order to complete this. I'm going to go ahead and complete this sketch right here and complete this video. And we will finish this up in subsequent videos.